Beyond the Clef is presented by Director's Choice.
Welcome to Beyond the Clef. We are live on the show floor at TMEA 2018. Very excited to have Jasmine Reed here. How are you doing, Jasmine?
I'm great.
Great to have you. And this is Jasmine Reed from Bayside Intermediate Choir, and that's in Clear Creek ISD, is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah. So how are you doing? You get in last night, I think, right?
Yes, we got in last night.
It's not too far from Houston to get here, so that's kind of nice,
no,
right?
it's a 3-hour drive. It's a good drive.
I miss that. I'm in Lubbock, and it's a lot more of a drive.
Yes.
Well, we share a lot in common in that we're teaching the same age of kids. Get to teach that really young age. So tell me a little bit about your start and how you got into Bayside. You took over a pretty successful program already, right?
Most definitely. So I graduated from Baylor University and walked right into the job at Bayside. It was the head choir director position. Definitely did not think that I wanted to teach middle school, just because when I graduated,
I hear that. Yeah,
I said I wanted to be a high school director, and that didn't really work out for me.
And let me ask you now, do you like teaching middle school?
I love teaching middle school.
Hey, would you go back to high school?
I would love to. Well, I didn't even it's my first job, like straight out of college, to like walk into this job and like take it over and kind of make it my own and everything. That was probably the most exciting thing for me, just graduating and getting to like walk into this position and meet a lot of really interesting kids that don't really filter well, but you know.
Now, are you there alone? Do you have an assistant?
I am alone.
Okay. All right.
So I overtook it. It was about like 170 in the program.
Okay.
It's kind of fluctuated here and there, but I started there about 5 years ago. The program was at like 170. And it's grown quite a bit. It was, like I said, it was really successful already, but just expectations and what I had, like the vision for was what I really needed to work on.
It's hard to get into something that is already successful because you don't want to, take it back down. So, and now remind me, it says it's Bayside Intermediate, but what grades is
6th, 7th, and 8th grade.
6th, 7th, and 8th.
Yes.
Okay.
6th, 7th,
and is there a 5th grade campus or a full elementary, or how does?
Great question. So I'm at the first village of its kind in Texas.
Okay.
So I teach at the intermediate school. The elementary school and the high school are all like connected.
Oh, wow.
In this one like large common area.
Okay.
So the elementary school is connected to me, and it's literally like a 3-minute walk to the elementary and the same to the high school.
Oh, great.
So the nice thing about it is that I get to see my students like often, and my incoming students because like Mossman is really close to me, and I can also see off my 8th graders because they're right at Falls and they're just a walk away. So it's a really, really nice thing to be able to work. You get a sense of the
community with the directors too?
Most definitely. There's a lot of chances to collaborate.
Tell me a little bit more about that, like maybe some successful situations that have arisen because you can collaborate so closely.
Okay, well, we do a Veterans Day performance for the elementary school, and we have done that since I started. So it's band, choir, orchestra. We pack up things and walk over to Mossman Elementary, set up in their gym, and we perform a Veterans Day ceremony for them. And we have our students perform. We have a speaker. And all of the school is there watching that, and then we also like haul tail back to Bayside and do the same thing.
Cool.
We also do our elementary tour in the winter where we take band, choir, orchestra, and this year we got to take the theater along with us because we had just finished our musical.
Oh, cool.
And we got to perform winter rep for them, which was really nice. I've also had the chance to have 5th grade choir students from Mossman Elementary sing our national anthem at a pep rally, which was really cool. Because the students, like, they come over and visit when they're choosing their electives. They're like, we sang with you. And I'm like, yeah, you did. I remember that. That was really cool. With the high school, we get invited over to perform on their winter concerts and also on their pre-UIL concerts, which is really nice because we're done with UIL, and they just really want to like showcase, what we've done and really give us the thanks and praise because middle school UIL happens in March. And
I hear that. Yeah. Mine's coming up in 13 rehearsals. I know exactly how many rehearsals when I get back, and so do the students. So I hear that. Yeah.
Our pre-UIL is Tuesday when I get back, so we have one day before pre-UIL.
Right.
Yeah. So crunch time, pretty much.
You were talking about your how they come over and you got to do like pre? Is it like a side-by-side thing, or is that like a you perform, they perform? Like, how does that work?
With the elementary school coming over, we perform, and it's kind of like just us performing for them.
Okay.
There have been some moments where the elementary school will perform with us, or they'll like sing for us, but that hasn't happened like often.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
It's basically just like us giving a concert, a Veterans Day concert, or a winter concert for them.
Okay. Well, now talk to me. Let's go back to when you got to take over the program. So, what happened when you're a first-year teacher, right? And you took over a program that was successful. Tell me about that year a little bit.
Well, walking into it was not easy. First year was really hard, as it is for a lot of people.
Right.
I felt very, very new and overwhelmed because it was a lot to take over. Because, you know, like I went to Baylor and they teach you a lot, but they really don't prepare you how to
like any,
Yeah, so
like
you walk in
anything.
and you're like, I have to learn how to like do finances and budget. And I also like, I'm not only like a teacher, I am also like is it like a travel guide at the same time? You know, like I had to plan trips out of town where like I took students away from their parents and in a different city and trusted them somewhere else. So it was really hard. I definitely spent a lot more time at school, working and stressing over a lot of stuff. And it wasn't like my most successful year, but I like survived.
Yeah,
and
how did you overcome that then? Because I felt like that was my first year when I took over a program too. It was very scary, and there was everything I felt like was less than I wanted.
Right.
But then how did you overcome that? What do you think? Like your second year?
I had to quickly get over the fact that like I didn't know everything.
Right. Yeah.
Which was really nice for me because it was like I'm gonna continue learning no matter what. So also asking for help. I was really bad about it for my first year because I didn't want to seem like an idiot, like I didn't know what I was doing, but I truly didn't know what I was doing unless I asked. So I had to really just put away my pride and ask for help. My department head right now, Jennifer Kidwell, was my mentor at the time, and it was like her second year or third year at Bayside, and she was my mentor, and we were also like, you know, our rooms are joined by—
What does she teach?
Orchestra. She's the orchestra director at Bayside, but we have a joint room where I used to just like walk straight through, like, hi, I have this issue. What do I do? And, you know, she'd help me out.
I feel like that's a big thing, just to go back to new teachers.
Right.
And I feel like it's the same with my students too. Being afraid to be wrong, being afraid to, if I ask a question, that means I'm stupid. It's like the same thing I tell my kids about marking their music, okay? If you miss a note, or even if you don't miss a note, marking the music is not an admission of guilt.
Right.
It's not, I'm a failure, I'm bad. You have to go out and that's why I think the cool thing is with music, it teaches us that, but then we forget it when we get to be new teachers.
Yep.
I don't want to not know anything. I'm supposed to know everything. New teachers have to go out and ask and know, because they don't. Right.
Most definitely.
I interrupted
No,
you there.
you're
I'm
fine.
sorry about that.
You're fine.
Well, now you have 6th grade and then 7th and 8th grade.
6th grade, 7th, and 8th grade.
Right. And so in my program, I have a beginning band, right? And then I have what I call the advanced band. So I have 7th and 8th grade combined together, right? And I do ability-based bands, but there's a big jump between that. And how do you handle that jump between that first year of choir and then the next couple years?
Well, 6th grade, 6th grade is my favorite to teach, honestly, because they're so new and they're so fresh, and they're just excited to be there. So that's a really good dynamic to work with. So I have beginning girls and beginning boys, and they're separate, which is always a really big shock to the boys, because they get there and they're like, there aren't any girls here. It's like, yeah, this is a beginning boys course. Like, they're not gonna be here. You'll sing with them sometimes, but not all the time. So I really enjoy it because I get to really learn how to like teach and like mold them to, you know, they get to learn a lot of vocabulary. They play a lot more games in 6th grade, which they really enjoy, and it's all educational, where they get to learn vocabulary and all the lingo that they need to know. And it's basically just like getting them ready for that 7th and 8th grade year. So I'm constantly referencing like things like in the terms that they need to know, you know, and whenever we apply it in like an octavo that they're reading. So that's really nice because it allows me to number one, I learned how to teach sight reading over and over and over again because they're sixth graders and it's brand new to them. So I have several different ways that I could teach it and approach it, and that's really nice because not everyone learns the same way. So
Right,
I've had to learn how to differentiate and really know and target that student who's really not getting it, but some who get it. It allows for a lot of flexibility in my teaching and a lot of on-the-fly teaching, which is really nice because there are a lot of things that have happened and I'm like, oh, I didn't plan for this, but like we can go here, yeah. And it also allows them to ask a lot more questions and be a lot more curious. When they move to 7th grade, I have 2 places they can go. My girls can go either to my concert women's class or my symphonic women's class. Concert women is mainly 7th and 8th graders that are kind of new, still trying to figure out what sight reading is. And then my symphonic women right now is all 8th graders, and I've had them for almost 3 years now, some 2, some 3 years. And then my men can go to my concert men's course. So that divide is really, it's not as big in the fall because we have a fall concert, we have a winter concert.
Sure.
And then in the spring, that's where it gets tricky because 7th and 8th grade, I'm focusing heavily on UIL and making sure that we can prepare our music in the next 2 months whenever January starts. And 6th graders just like, what are we doing? So my first year, I did not know what I was doing and I planned a pop show for them, but it was in May. So I had a huge, long pop show with 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, which was the worst way to go.
Okay.
I got through it, but it was just, after that I was like, nope, can't do that anymore. Because it was 170 kids. I was by myself trying to wrangle all of them.
Sure.
That's not a thing that should happen for anyone. So my second year, I decided to split. So 6th grade focuses on pop show. And after my second year, I made it forever and always, as long as I'm at Bayside, it's going to be a Disney pop show just because Disney's easy, it's accessible. Everyone loves Disney. It's always good to bring that back. And then 7th and 8th grade is working on UIL. And then after UIL's over and pop show's over, they just flip. So 7th and 8th grade get to end with their pop show and 6th grade gets to focus on preparing for a festival that just in the surrounding Houston area. And they have a spring concert. So that's kind of helped me just stay balanced. And also it's really nice to teach a Disney song first period, and then second period and second, third, and fourth I'm drilling and working UIL rep and teaching sight reading, and then I get to end with more Disney. So it's a nice balance. It's I'm stressed, but also it's I get to sing some Disney music with my kids, and they're really excited about it. Yeah, so it's good.
Well, tell me about how you mentioned you that first year, for instance, you were one teacher versus 170 doing stuff. So how on an event or a concert, something like that? Now you said you don't do that as much, but how do you handle doing a concert when you're only one person? I know my choir director struggles with the same thing. How do you handle that?
I have really great colleagues. So my first year I had to really call on all of my friends that were in the surrounding area. So in Clear Creek there was, we all kind of started at the same time. So it was Ashley Johnson at the time, Raul Dominguez, Melissa Smith, a lot of the surrounding people, we all started together. And so I would lean on them and they would come and pretty much chaperone my students.
Oh, that's great.
While I was on stage because I can't really watch them on stage, and also make sure that they're quiet in the cafetorium.
Yeah.
So that was really nice.
We have a cafetorium as well.
Yes.
We're struggling with that.
Lovely cafetorium.
Yeah. Except when they built our cafetorium, they didn't build the stage big enough, so it works for choir, but I have 0 bands that fit on my stage. So in the cafetorium, we have to sit on the floor and perform on the floor.
I've seen that.
It's how it happens sometimes, but yeah. So that's really great that you got those people came over and got to help you out.
Most definitely.
Yeah, that's really fantastic.
Also, just having a solid handle on logistics and what you want your students to do. So the day of a show, it'd be taking them to the cafetorium, all right, this is where we'll be set up and this is where you'll sing. We're gonna practice walking on and off. Okay, if that's not right, do it again. Make sure you're walking, so just really walking them through that entire process and having it written out play by play, just so they know what to expect.
Yeah, I think always that's so helpful, especially with middle school students. You can tell them 1,000 times, but when they get there and they're nervous and things are there, they don't really focus on that. And so I actually do that with sight reading as well. In sight reading, I will have them play the last note in the song that we do on stage, and they're sitting in those seats, and then they all walk up, go in the hallway, walk back out, and then we have them sit down and pretend now this is the sight reading room. And so, yeah, so
That
they
is
have to get that mental
smart.
way to go into, and they have to put their books down, and for us, it's all about a 12-year-old being an awkward
Right.
child with an instrument and not bumping it into something and
Right.
having an issue. But yeah, it's always, I like
That's a
that.
really good
It's a
idea.
tactile idea. Well, cool. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Yeah, sharing stuff here. That's pretty neat. Well, you mentioned you do a lot of games in 6th grade. Can you tell us one of those
Yes.
games, or maybe your favorite?
Yes, favorite for me and for my students is trash get ball. And it's really nice because it's pretty much I started with
I play that a lot at lunch, so.
Yeah, but so I have a ball of paper that I've like wadded up and like taped over, and so it's a nice hefty ball just of like old sheet music that I had.
Right. Recycling, that's nice.
Yeah, exactly,
yeah.
recycling. So I have like a ball like that, and then I have like a list of terms or things that I like want them to know. So it's a review game.
Sure.
And it's
okay.
really nice. So if I'm wanting to. They're on teams, so I have team 1, team 2, and they're usually split up like that. They get to choose their teams, team names, all that good stuff. And they go one by one. So I ask a student like a question. They're like going head to head basically, and they have to like give me a signal. So like, how many beats does a quarter note get? Hand goes up. They say 1 beat. All right, great. So their team gets a point. And then they get to shoot for extra points from the risers. So
fun.
first row is 1 more point, second row 2 points, last row 3 points. So they get to shoot the trash get ball into a recycling bin or the trash can in some cases, and they get extra points for their team. And it just really tests their knowledge,
Right.
Allows them to be a little bit more competitive, but also really supportive. And I have strict rules on like
Right.
the do's and don'ts. Like we don't heckle, we don't like make fun of someone if they get it wrong, and it really allows me to kind of assess those students individually, which is really nice. Because if I like, sometimes some of them just really go under the radar, but whenever
Yeah.
I get to do that, it's really nice. It's like, oh, I know what your speaking voice is, and also you know this, and you're paying attention. So that's always really, really cool, and they really like that game.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, now, someone told me that one of the things that they think that you're really good at is bringing joy and finding joy in your profession. I don't know. Do you know what they're talking about? Tell me a little bit about your philosophy on that.
I think I find the most joy in making sure that my students walking away feeling more like a human and not like just a number, or like a soprano or an alto or part 1, part 2 of my choir. So definitely having a lot of chances to build rapport and really invest in them in a lot of ways is always really nice, because I spend a lot of time with those students, and at some point they're just not a student that sings in my soprano section in my first period. They're my kids, and that's how I reference all of them. They're all my kids. So it's really nice. Also just focusing on growth in my profession and like knowing, and like after my first year, like I said, like I did not know a lot, but asking for help and really focusing on growth and not about perfection was really, really perfect for me. So also not taking myself too seriously, like you were saying earlier, like making mistakes is a thing. And like whenever my students make mistakes, I'm like, thank you, that was wrong, now fix it. All right, let's go back and like, let's try it again, like, because I make several mistakes and they call me on them, but like we're all human. So just really focusing on growth and learning and not really thinking about, oh, this has to be right the first time, which I'm not the best at. Like UIL happens and I'm like, if this isn't perfect, we're gonna do poorly. But at the end of the day, like I'm putting a lot of faith in children.
Right.
And no matter what, they're gonna do what's best for them, and they're gonna meet my expectations. And most of the time, like almost every time, they exceed them. So it's always really nice to kind of have that mindset, like my kids are doing the best they can, and so am I. And just to really know that is what pretty much gets me through.
Yeah. Well, I wrote down, I like that you said they're not just a part. Yeah. Like I think when you said that, I'm thinking of my fifth chair trumpet right now, and we had a moment this week, and it was a contentious moment because he wasn't really getting there, and he's trying so hard, and I'm pushing him, and there's a lot of pressure, and there's all that, and so like he needs to know he's not just a part. So I'm going to go back and really make sure that he knows that he's a really special kid. And I love that you said it's about growth and not perfection. Another thing that really resonates with me. This has been a fantastic conversation. I love getting to meet you today and getting to talk with you. Thanks for being on the show for Beyond the Clef.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
We'll have to get you on again. Yeah,
Awesome.
So thanks for joining us. Beyond the Clef, going further with your music program.